Welcome to On the Record. In the run-up to the November general election, we're going to introduce you to the candidates you'll be seeing on the ballot. To do that, we're hosting a series of candidate forums right here. Before we begin, let's go over the rules. Each candidate was provided the list of questions, which we'll get to in just a moment. They'll each have 1 minute to answer those questions. Seating arrangements were determined by the order that these individuals will be appearing on the ballot. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes at the start to introduce themselves, and then 2 minutes at the end as well. With that in mind, let's go ahead and get started with today's forum. Our guests for this episode are Cheryl Perkins and Angela Thomas, candidates for the 160th Missouri House District. Thank you both for going on the record with us. As promised, 2 minutes off the top of the show. Cheryl, we'll begin with you.
Hi, thanks for having me again, Jeremiah. I appreciate you inviting us out. I'm Cheryl Perkins. I am running for the 160th, and I am currently your county assessor. So most of you might kind of recognize that, but through the years of fighting to protect the taxpayers and protect your rights, I have met up with a lot of people. In the last couple years, I have been to the Capitol more than before, and through all of that, I have met with people who are wanting me there. They're like, we need you to help us fight with the property tax reform. We need you to help with other issues. And we know you've got the strength and backbone and you've got the government history, so we would appreciate if you would just come up here. So through all of that, they've got me talked into joining them at the Capitol. So that's what got me into this election, and we'll see how November brings me.
All right, thank you very much, ma'am. Angela, as promised, 2 minutes.
Yes, thank you very much for inviting us today. I'm Angela Thomas, and I'm running for District 160 as well. As a small business owner and a past president of the Chamber of Commerce, I also am a proud daughter of an Air Force veteran, and so I have learned a lot of hard work and accountability and service, and those are values that I have also brought to the City Council. I've been on the City Council for the last 8 years, and I've learned that service and leadership requires policy and people over policy and politics is what I mean to say. And it's the people that we're serving and not the politics. So I just think it's very important that we realize that we're serving our communities, that we're taking care of our families, our schools, health care and those type of services. And these are the things that protect our families and keep us running well in our communities. I decided to run for state representative to bring a change. I think Missouri is at a crossroads right now that we really need to make sure who we're voting for our elected officials and make sure that they are serving our people as well as they can be. And I'd like to have more discussion as we go along about bringing accountability to Jeff City, and that's why I'm running.
All right, well, ladies, thank you again both for going on the record with us. With that, we're going to get started with the questions. Cheryl, we'll have you answer the first question first. Okay. Data centers have been a hot button topic in Missouri. What role should the state play in their future development?
I think the state needs to be involved in making sure that where the data center is going, that the public is safe, that the utilities being used, that they're utilizing their own power. The water, I mean, they can't utilize their own water, but we need to be sure that the water they're bringing in and using at the data centers and the water they're spitting out needs to be handled in a safe way for the people in the area to still have their water and to keep it safe. We don't need any more contaminated groundwater going on in the county. So I kind of hope that we can get some kind of reform going to protect the people and to watch where we're putting these data centers.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Angela, same question for you. Data centers have been a hot button topic in Missouri. What role should the state play in their future development?
Well, the state needs to put in some guardrails. They need to stop, they need to make sure that the data centers are paying 100% of their connection to our electric grid. They need to stop the NDAs where people don't understand or realize who's actually coming into their community and what the end user is going to be. And again, the environment is very important, so there need to be some environmental guidelines as far as water usage and how it affects noise and where they're set back on the properties where they are positioned. And I just think that needs to be more aware and have those guardrails in place before they get here.
All right, thank you very much, ma'am. We'll start with you, Angela, for question number 2 on the subject of data centers. A statewide moratorium on their construction has been proposed. Is this something you would support?
I would support that. A moratorium would be a good idea to, like I said in the first question, pause a little bit and put in some guardrails and some statutes that would protect the communities and protect our families. And this is not just something I would talk about. This is something I've led on. We did vote I voted yes in order to have a year's moratorium in Neosho on City Council. And this gets the Neosho where we can watch our infrastructure and what's going to be used and protect our families for the future of what might be brought there. And I think that taking a pause statewide would be a very good idea.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Cheryl, same question for you. On the subject of data centers, a statewide moratorium on their construction has been proposed. Is this something you would support?
I would, but I don't think a statewide moratorium would ever go through because a lot of counties want the data centers and a lot of counties don't. So a statewide moratorium would be tough, but the House caucus, future caucus right now is building a safe zone to be able to regulate what goes in and to get all the required information they need for the data center that's being built. So on that, it's kind of along the lines where I was talking before, that once they get that going, then they would know how they're doing their water, how they're doing their electricity, making sure that they're supporting themselves and not the taxpayer paying for their buildings. And if that goes through, that would be a big increase and big help, along with if the counties themselves could get their own moratoriums if that's what they want. But it's pretty tough to try to get the counties to agree to their moratoriums.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Cheryl, we'll stay with you for question number 3. Should Missouri add restrictions to the use of artificial intelligence?
Absolutely. Artificial intelligence is scary. It's going to end up hurting a lot of people. Kids are going to be using that and not learning anything because AI is going to do everything for them. It's going to turn into more scams for our elderly and for all of us, really, because seeing so much of it on social media, there is not much distinction between what's real and what's AI. So there needs to be regulations and restrictions put onto the AI.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Angela, same question for you. Should Missouri add restrictions to the use of artificial intelligence?
I definitely think there should be some restrictions and some protections, especially for our children in Missouri. They've used chat boxes and things like that to bully and to do deep fakes for children, and children just don't realize a lot of times what they're dealing with. So there needs to be some guidelines, some safeties for them, but also make sure that they're not gathering their information, because they do have to verify their ages on some of these safety things, and that could be a way that AI can gather their information. But I do feel that we shouldn't lock them out of the digital classroom, and so it needs to be some safeguards so that they can learn new technology and be able to go forward and that might further their career. So I don't believe they should be completely locked out of it, but I do think there should be some safeties in there.
Thank you very much, ma'am. We'll stay with you, Angela, for our next question. Should commercial use of AI be regulated by the state?
You have to be very careful when you're regulating commercial, because businesses need to have some leeway in order to do their business. But I do think that there should be some guardrails and some laws against scams and deep fakes, things that can interfere with seniors and things that can interfere with our state elections. There's a lot of guidelines that we could probably put in, but we need to be careful also of intellectual property, because artists and musicians and creative people are getting a lot of their property stolen and used as AI, and so we do need to protect those as well. So yes, there needs to be some kind of guardrails there for business.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Cheryl, same question for you. Should commercial use of AI be regulated by the state?
Yes, I believe the state should regulate it to a point. We can't have 100% state running on anything, but there needs to be some type of regulations, even on a commercial level, public level, whichever, to protect everybody. If we don't do some type of regulations to make certain parts of it illegal, then there's not going to be any stopping AI. And you can't tell the difference in a lot of that stuff. So there's just right there again, it's all the scams that are going to go on with not having some type of regulations going on AI.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Cheryl, we'll stay with you for question number 5. Property tax relief was a widely discussed legislative topic this past session that did not make it to the finish line. Should something be done at the state level on property taxes, and if so, what does that look like to you?
Absolutely. That has been my fight for the last few years, and we do need regulations. And I've got a really good idea. I've been doing this for 23 years with the property taxes. I've been in the office working with that, and I've got a good idea on how we can get the taxes reformed to keep it safe for the people, to keep the entities in good shape. We can't just stop taxes altogether, because then all of our entities would go down and we wouldn't have any fires, schools, anything like that. But there is a way of protecting the homeowners and protecting our entities. I've got an idea of how to do it. I've just got to get there and get with the crew that started doing it last year and get them focused on it. I have talked to him, and he knows that I'm coming, and he knows that I'm willing to help.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Angela, same question for you. Property tax relief was a widely discussed legislative topic this past session that did not make it to the finish line. Should something be done at the state level on property taxes, and if so, what does that look like to you?
Well, property taxes cannot be dealt with in a vacuum, because property taxes affect our schools and a lot of services that we get. So while I am willing to look at ways to reform our property taxes, we need to be very careful that we have something to back that up. If we eliminate a tax, we need to have something to cover that revenue, and it needs to be not a sales tax that the working poor and the people have to pay in addition to. With the property taxes, you look at health departments, the fire department, emergency services, and schools, and those all need to be fully funded, and we need to be able to take those. I do think that there could be some ways of eliminating some property tax pressure on seniors. I know we're doing that a little bit, but we need to make it where we don't have to renew it every year. And also, I think that should be offered toward veterans and their surviving spouses who are living on the same homestead.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Cheryl, Angela, we'll stay with you for question number 6. The state budget is expected to be a point of emphasis in the next session. With the expected depletion of the state surplus fund in the not too distant future, what is the best policy for crafting that budget without cutting vital programs?
I think the number one step would be to stop overspending. Need to watch where we're spending our dollars. We need to have fiscal discipline when we go to work with our budget. We need to look at bureaucracy and agencies that maybe need some cutting, maybe need some auditing, and see where there might be some waste. We need to make sure, again, that we're covering the vital services as well. We don't want to make those cuts in our services for schools and health and senior services, but we do need to look at our spending. I think that just like with the household budget, there's some things that could be cut, political earmarks, different things, different tax cuts that have been done in the past maybe should be held until our revenue is back where it needs to be. I do think there's quite a bit of work that we need to do to get that budget balanced.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Cheryl, same question for you. The state budget is expected to be a point of emphasis in the next session. With the expected depletion of the state surplus fund in the not too distant future, what is the best policy for crafting that budget without cutting vital programs?
I think we need to, like Angela said, we need to cut back on spending. The government needs to be on the same basis and same priorities that we do. We have to watch what we buy and what we spend our money on. They need to do the same thing. And we need to go in and look at departments. How many departments are overstaffed for what they need and what they actually do? There's all kinds of different ways to look at different programs and different departments to see, are they vital? Are there more people than what we need? Where can we make the cuts per department? And it could be, each department gives up a little bit, it gains a lot. So we need to kind of just start all over on every budget, start at the beginning and rebuild them, and then see where their cuts need to be.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Question number 7 for Cheryl. Should Missouri go back to a presidential preference primary?
Absolutely. when we did when we did the caucus last time, there was a lot of people who felt left out, that they didn't have a voice in the president pick. And so we need to go back to where everybody can vote and can have a voice in it and pick their choice. I mean, there shouldn't be any group that says this is who we're picking as a Republican or a Democrat or a Libertarian. Nobody should be able to make that choice for them. They need their own voice. So I know it costs money, and we don't like to spend the money, but you need a voice. You can't go off popularity. You need to be able to do your own.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Angela, same question for you. Should Missouri go back to a presidential preference primary?
I absolutely think they should. The caucus system is very hard for everybody to participate in. It's done on a certain day at a certain time, so that means that military and working folk and just the regular everyday people cannot attend a caucus. The primary gives us a wider range of voters. They're allowed to vote absentee as well, and would be able to vote by mail and by other methods. So it opens up the process to allow everyone to participate and for everyone to have a voice, and also make sure that our delegates know the will of the people. So it helps a better communication and better participation for all of our voters.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And Angela, we'll stay with you for question 8. Another item that didn't quite make it to the finish line this past session was an A through F grading system for Missouri schools. Is this something the legislature should consider again in 2027?
I don't believe so. I think eliminating everyone down to a one-letter grade is not fair to the students, it's not fair to the school, it's not fair to our neighborhoods. When you grade someone on just slap a letter on them and go, kind of leaves out what those children have done, what progress they've made in the school, what kind of resources they've been able to reach. And it causes teachers to grade to the test, and that kind of messes up the metrics there. So the children may be passing the test and they get the letter grade that they earn in that manner, but it's not a full view of what is really going on in those schools and classrooms, and it could cause schools to have a lower grade than they actually deserve. And I think our students and our teachers deserve a better way of analyzing them and giving them a grade, so to speak.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Cheryl, same question for you. Another item that didn't quite make it to the finish line this past session was an A through F grading system for Missouri schools. Is this something the legislature should consider again in 2027?
I think it should be considered. I'd like to see the whole guidelines on all of it. But if you don't have a midpoint, like say you've got a C, and you know if you work a little bit harder you can get up, you've got to have a reason and a drive to push yourself. And it's kind of the same with the schools. When the school, and the school I know is based mainly on the children, but the kids are doing good, the teachers feel better, and the teachers are going to push harder. But it also brings that school into the focus. When somebody's coming to move to your neighborhood, they want to know what the school's like. That's one of the main things is school, and that's an easy way of knowing if that's a school that you think your kids will do good at. But I think having that level ground and having a spot to work up to getting a higher spot is important.
Thank you very much, ma'am. We'll stay with you, Cheryl, for question number 9. In some instances in other states, so-called poly-market betting by members of government has become a concern. Is this something the state legislature should address?
I think that needs addressed. To me, that looks like a way of getting back into the sports betting, and you've got teams that are going to throw the other team. You've got people who aren't going to do the homework and learn about the candidate they're getting ready to vote on, and they're going to look at this, which is pretty much like a poll, but you're paying money to place your spot on that poll, and you're betting on, or you're going to pick somebody that the majority picks, and that may not be the right fit for you, and that may stop a lot of people from getting a job or a position that they deserve and can do really good at versus going against a poll. So, candidate B's got better numbers, so we're going to go with B, but they don't even know who B is. I think it needs regulated and needs stopped.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Angela, same question for you. In some instances in other states, so-called poly-market betting by members of government has become a concern. Is this something the state legislature should address?
I absolutely think that they should address it. Poly-market betting is insider trading. Basically, it's people that have sat inside a closed session or sat and worked on a initiative that's coming up, know actually kind of what the results of that are going to be. They have inside information, and they're voting actually anonymously through crypto wallets. So it's definitely something that needs to be changed. It has something to do with, it has everything to do with people making money off of the voters. Knowing how something is going to go before you go vote on it or before you bet on it is not fair, and it's not legal in the states or in the United States Senate. It shouldn't be legal in Missouri. It's an unfair advantage. It should be illegal. It's backdoor inside trading and needs to be stopped.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Our final question, Angela, we'll start with you. It's being suggested that eliminating income taxes is something that may come up again next year. Is this something the legislature should look at?
Tax reform, yes. Eliminating the state income tax without having some kind of something to fill in that revenue. The state income tax is 60% of Missouri's revenue. And the answer should not be shifting state income tax to sales tax, to or use tax, things that where the working poor, the middle class have to pay for extra, all their necessities would be raised up by that sales tax. I'm not at all for against reducing taxes, but to replace them with the sales tax is just not the way to do that. And I think the Missouri voters voted loud and clear on Amendment 5 that that's not what they want. And so I think certainly you can do tax reform, but we need to go back to the drawing board and figure out how to do it with something other than sales tax.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Cheryl, same question for you. It's being suggested that eliminating income taxes is something that may come up again next year. Is this something the legislature should look at?
It needs looked at, but it needs to be held back and not put on a timeline. You've got to find a replacement for the money being taken. You can't do away with one tax and raise a different tax. That's just shifting the burden, and that's not going to help like our seniors or our low-income people who now have a higher sales tax they have to pay when they didn't even have to pay an income tax. So that's just shifting the burden, and it needs to be a way figured out to take it, but yet not hurt the people in how they replace that tax. We look at that all the time in the assessor's office, and they want to get rid of this tax and that tax. And I'm like, great, but where are we going to shift the burden to? If we take it from the sales tax or we take it from the people, it's going to go to the businesses, and the businesses are going to leave. So we've got to find a better ground to put where we're going to replace that money from.
Thank you both. And thank you both, ladies, for participating in our questions. That does bring us to the end of the questions, but as promised, 2 minutes here at the close. Angela, we'll begin with you.
Thank you very much for having us. On May 5th of 2025, our state representative took another job and left us without representation for this entire session. This is one of the reasons that I decided to run. On May 5th of 2025, myself and several others began calling our governor and asking him to go ahead and have a special election to fill this vacancy. He said he would, but then he didn't. So I think it's very important that we get state representatives in that will hold our governor and our elected officials to account. And we need to make sure that we're protecting our families, that we're protecting our homes, that we're protecting our schools, and that we are making a way for affordable health care for our youth and for our seniors, that we're making affordable health care for everyone, as well as affordable mental health care, and taking care of our families, taking care of our family budgets. I think that this is the way that we love our neighbors. And we need to just make sure that we're electing people that will go to Jeff City and be accountable for what is needed to be done. And I would like to ask for your vote for November and help me to go to Jefferson City and be one that's accountable for that.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Cheryl, as promised, 2 minutes.
Thanks for having us again, and it's always a pleasure to be on the KSN with you. when I decided to run, it was a lot of it was being at the Capitol and knowing that I could make a difference and seeing that I was making a difference, but on a local level. So at a local level, I'm kind of stalled. I can only go so far, I can only help so much. But when I go to Jeff City, I will be able to take my 23 years of government experience with me and expand it further to be more help, to be a voice, to explain situations when they want to get rid of property tax. I can explain the highs and lows of it. This is how we need to do it, and if you do it this way, this is what's going to happen. I understand the valuing of the homes. I understand the tax burden, the shift, and there's nothing I want more than to protect the people of Missouri. I've been protecting Newton County for 23 years. I'm the one that got the SB 190 in place to protect the seniors when we knew in 25 that State Tax Commission was coming after all of the assessors to raise the values. I made sure that I had them covered and I protected them the best of my ability so that in case I lost to the State Tax Commission, I won. So we didn't have that tax burden put in, but we've got to find a way to do it properly because the values need to go up. They need to be adjusted, but they got to be done in a safe and fair way. And with my experience in there, I know how to protect that, and that experience will shift over to other areas that need protection and need different ways to look at, okay, if you remove that, this is what's going to happen. Different scenarios that I've lived through here in the courthouse. So I ask for your vote to send me to Jeff City in November, and I will work my best and be available for any phone call at any time, just like I am now.
All right, ladies, again, thank you both for being with us. That does conclude this candidate forum. Again, our guests have been Cheryl Perkins and Angela Thomas, candidates you'll see on the ballot for the 160th Missouri House District. Once again, thank you both for going on the record with us.